let's talk about some tips and some things people can do to get on the customer journey path. Speaking of touch points on the customer journey, why don't you walk us through some of the key rules or considerations? I know there's a lot here, Chip, but maybe you can give us some high points of what this means.
Yeah, so here's another example of how we do it at Infor. How do you project and map out the behavior of a potential customer? This is a retail industry example. So we found that retailers are particularly interested in automating their omni-channel marketing campaigns. So this is that example. Simon works for a large retailer. He's looking for a marketing resource management tool to help run his campaigns. And so in this flow here, this journey, it starts with him doing online research. He then responds to an online offer. He downloads a white paper. He engages with the sales team at the appropriate time when really on his terms, followed by an online demo. He attended a marketing event for final hands-on information, and then he finally purchased. So this is just an example of charting out the steps that a buyer takes from the buyer's perspective.
That's very helpful, and now we've seen it during the sale. What do we do after the person has made the purchase?
Yeah, so post-purchase is really important, right? So, even after the sale's closed, you need to make sure that customer support and service and all departments, like we talked about, are integrated. So there's a complete picture of how your customer is experiencing your brand. And like we talked about, get them into branded communities, loyalty programs, reference programs, things like that.
They're so important. I want to remind people too, if you've got specific examples or questions you wanted to ask about the customer journey and what platforms are available out there, go to #MyCustomerJourney and then stay online, because we're going to have some follow-on ways you can continue to connect with Chip and myself. I want to stress also this nurturing of the post-purchase customer journey can be incredibly rewarding. Another multi-billion-dollar software company, Chip, that I've worked with, they grew their customer community to over 3 million members last year. So they grew it about 7-fold in 3 years. So they put a lot of energy into that, and members of their community, they learned, spend 2.5 times more than customers who are not in their online customer community. So it's just so compelling.
One challenge I know that everybody faces is, okay, so that's great, creating that personal journey seems very one-off. How do you scale that? And there are tools that exist to help you manage all of that. There are visual design tools that help you lay out, drag and drop elements of a given journey. This is kind of an eye strain, but it's a flow chart that basically it's a B2C example where it's a company that captured information from individuals that have used a kiosk for their product or signed up for a loyalty program. So the tool can help flag if they have made a purchase or not. If they have, then it sends a message asking them to follow us on social media. If they have not purchased yet, we could send a discount offer. So there's different paths at different decision points. And the tool also, in real time updates the segment counts at each step, to help optimize those flows. So there are tools out there to help you manage all of that.
Yeah, and those tools are really, they also have to have as part of their foundation an understanding of the personas or the buyer personas, right?
Yeah, you got it. I know there was a question about, how do you choose your customers? There's so many segments, and that you have to do your market research and your market intelligence on the things that you sell, and be as specific as possible as you can be with the segments that you're targeting that provide the highest return, have the most people that fit the profile of who would get the most value from what you sell. in what industries, and in what titles in the organization, right? So the messaging then that you see here in this example needs to be at the level of a particular buyer's persona, because it's going to be different for different types of people even within the same organization.
And this brings us to tip number 4, which is map to the buyer's journey. Very, very critical.
Yeah, it's really important that you understand each stage of the journey and what the different tactics are at each stage. We shared some examples of that already, but then get a visual framework to represent all of those different touch points, and then use that to understand how the customer interacts with your brand, and do it in a way that's flexible and you can evolve it and tweak it as behaviors change.